Have you ever been in a situation where someone is trying to give you advice that you know for a fact is just terrible? This seems to happen to me all the time. People will see someone struggling and they think that they have to give them their 2 cents. It's usually some older guy who is still working his minimum wage job that he got in high school, like, "Yeah, Joe, I'll be sure to take your advice, buddy." It's also usually something that they just know nothing about. Like, you'll mention your car is making a funny noise, and the dude with the least mechanical knowledge will have to tell you what he thinks is wrong with your car. These types of people just seem to be everywhere. I'm not sure if they just try to be the center of attention or what. Maybe they just actually think that they're smarter than everyone. I don't know. But you shouldn't listen to these types of people. I'm sure you all have met someone like this, probably many actually, and you probably are thinking of somebody like that right now. You know, like someone who just can't help themselves by butting into your conversation and rambling on about how to fix your life. Meanwhile, they're living in a rundown trailer with a truck that barely runs and 3 kids to 3 different women, only taking home $500 a pay after all the child support payments. So anyways, I've had to deal with people like that my whole life. Maybe not to that much of an extreme, but pretty close. I've had a coworker try to give me investing advice before. He knew that I was into buying stocks, ETFs, Bitcoin. He was a big crypto guy. He was always buying meme coins, altcoins, he was buying everything. He actually at one point had a crypto portfolio worth, I think, almost $500,000, but of course he was greedy and lost most of it. I'm pretty sure in the end he did make a couple $1,000s, but it wasn't much. So not long after we started working together, he would show me a new crypto that he was buying, and he was always trying to get me to buy it too. This would probably happen at least once a week. Of course, I never listened to him because I knew that 99 out of 100 altcoins just do nothing. It's just gambling, really. But let's say that I was gullible enough to listen to him. I could have lost hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. And that's what happens to a lot of people. They get bad advice from someone that they perceive to be wiser and smarter than they are, and in the end, they just get themselves into trouble. Now, this same coworker of mine would also talk about being in credit card debt. It wasn't a lot, maybe $10,000, but it was still high interest debt that he had no intentions of paying off, even though he was buying $100 worth of altcoins a week. He would also talk about taking out 401k loans, which, if you don't know, is just an extremely stupid thing to do. Yeah, you end up paying yourself back, but the opportunity cost that you lost is huge. I guess I should note that this guy is also in his mid-30s doing this kind of stuff. So, in the end, this guy is in debt, has very little money saved for retirement, and is spending all his money on altcoins that are just losing him money, trying to chase the high that he got from the 2020 bull run, which he didn't even make hardly any money from in the first place. So I said all that to say this. You shouldn't take advice from people who are not where you want to be or who do not have the same things in life that you want. If you, for example, wanted to take investing advice from someone, would you take it from somebody who is broke or somebody who's wealthy? Of course you would take it from the wealthy one. But it goes much deeper than just financial advice. It could be life advice about relationships or raising children. I've gotten some pretty terrible relationship advice before from family members of all people. I've been told before that you should marry for money and that you shouldn't marry your high school sweetheart, both of which I think are just plain ignorant. But when I look at my family members that told me that, they're the ones who don't have good relationships with their spouses. So when I actually wanted good relationship advice, I went to someone who I knew had a great marriage. When you're a teenager or early 20s, you might think that everyone who's older than you has life figured out and they know exactly what they're doing. But I've come to realize that that's not the case. Most people are just trying to get by the best that they know how. And some definitely are wiser and smarter than others. People in your life who are wealthy, who have amazing family bonds, who have raised respectful children, those are the type of people you want to go to for advice. People who have been in your shoes and know exactly what you're going through. They're truly the best people to take advice from. The same thing even applies to your career. When you start a new job, you're not going to know much of anything. That's why jobs will usually give you someone to mentor you, at least for a while until you start to learn the basics. Usually that mentor will be a senior employee who has worked there for years and can tell you the ins and the outs of the place. So once you're finally on your own and you have a question that you need answered, you won't go to someone who's only been there a few months. You will go to someone who's been there a while. Those are the people who are really going to teach you the most at your job. You look at them and you see how long that they've been there and how much money they're making, and you think to yourself, how can I get to that position? Well, you get there by learning from them, by taking advice from them. You see, taking advice from the right people can get you very far in life. From your career to relationships to car trouble and everything in between. You probably know someone who is an expert at one thing or another, but when you start thinking of all the people that you know, you'll start to realize that you know a lot of experts. Maybe your neighbor is a mechanic. He could give you some advice on maintaining and fixing your car. Or maybe your grandparents are very wealthy. They could give you advice on where to put your money. Maybe one guy you know has been happily married for 50 years and has raised 3 kids who all come over to his house on Sunday afternoon with the grandkids. That is definitely someone who you want to look towards for relationship advice. Now, as some of you know, I'm 24, so I'm still trying to build the life that I want to have. But this is what I've started doing. I've learned to stop taking advice from just anyone. I look at their life and really question if they have the life that I want to have someday. If the answer is yes, then I follow their advice. If no, then I won't. I just hope that when I'm older, I can try to be that role model for others. I guess I'm actually trying to do that right now with this video and my channel as a whole. If you can learn how to filter through all the bad advice and only listen to the good advice, you'll eventually become one of the wise grandparents, neighbors, co-workers that everyone can look up to. It's very important to have people like that in your life. Hopefully it's a family member, but it can really be anyone. Most people are an expert at least one thing. So hopefully all of you that have watched this far really try and take this video seriously. This is honestly one of the things that has really changed my life for the better, and I want that for all of you. If you made it to the end of the video, I want to thank you. And remember, don't take advice from people who don't have the kind of life that you want to have.